Welcome to Shrimperscast with me, Steve Mansfield.
And me, Paul Hill. On today's show,
Blues feeling blue after consecutive losses to Gateshead and Maidenhead.
Back-to-back losses leave Southend 2 points above the drop with lots of questions to answer.
Paul sits down with Andy Leeder of the Southend Ex-Players Association to hear all about upcoming fundraiser in aid of legend Micky Stead.
And we preview Blues FA Cup clash away to Eastleigh on Saturday.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shrimperscast. I'm sat here with Paul Hill. How you doing, Mr. Paul Hill?
All the better for seeing you, Squire. I'm feeling a bit fragile today, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
You've been burning that candle again?
A little bit, yeah. Well, I had a work event last night at the only live trading floor in Europe.
Ooh.
Yeah, man.
Exciting.
The London Metal Exchange. I was down there with our charity show Racism the Red Card because we've partnered with them. And being Black History Month, they put on a quality event. And so, yeah, all in there. Free food, free beer, free cocktails. It was a fun journey home.
Equals sore head.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm all good. All good. How are you, though?
Yeah, right? Not too bad. People can't see me, so they can't see that it looks like I've been punched in the face, but I've got a bit of a weird sty that seems to have somehow puffed out and given me like a weird black eye. So I look like I've done a few. I look exactly. I shouldn't tell people, should I?
No.
I should say I'm hard. I'm hard. So we've not been on the show for a couple of weeks. We had a week off last week, much deserved, I think, Paul. We're very busy people. But since we last spoke, it's been a bit shit, hasn't it? Really?
Yep. Rubbish.
Been a bit rubbish for Southend. Not been the start, I think, that anyone wanted at this stage of the season.
No.
And there are not many signs that are encouraging either. You know, we really don't like to be overly sort of depressing on this podcast. We're very, very positive people. But each of us have been to one of the last games. We've not been together, but we've each been to one of the last games, Gateshead and Maidenhead. And yeah, the performances just aren't up there, are they? They're just not good enough.
Not good enough at all.
And that's starting to come through with the fans and the frustrations, understandably. I mean, you know, some people are ridiculously calling for Kevin Mayer to get the sack, and I don't agree with that at all. I think that's real overreaction. But the facts are, Southend are 2 points above the drop, and if something doesn't change quick,
we're in trouble.
In trouble, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it has happened to other teams. I mean, look what happened to Stockport when they sorted out their off-the-field problems. They dropped down into the National League North. I think 4 years they spent there. But look at them now. They're flying up in League One. You know, it can turn around and things do look good, but it's not great at the minute, is it really? I mean, just looking at the last two games, you know, scoring one, conceding five, says it all. And I think Kevin's right. We're not doing the basics right. And there's a lot needs to be sorted out, really. I mean, we're a team in transition, aren't we? We've lost the spine of the team. Kensdale's gone, Caldwell's gone. You've got Cav Miley's injured. I mean, yeah, confidence isn't there. It's clear. We're giving away silly goals. But we are scoring. So I'll be more worried if we weren't putting the ball in the back of the net. However, when you've got your right back as your top scorer, it's still a bit like, you know.
Yeah, well, the first game that we'll talk about was the Gateshead game a couple of weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, and he scored again, didn't he?
Yeah.
Gus. Basically, he was the only bright spark, I thought, on the day.
Yeah, I mean, apart from Forson, I think he was good. He was quite lively. But, you know, when you look at that Gateshead team, I mean, they've just got done 7-1, was it? Whatever it was.
To Dagenham,
and you're thinking, right, they're there for the taking, and then to get turned over 3-1 in your own backyard is depressing.
Yeah.
Really depressing. And if we are going to be competing at that end of the table, we need to be taking the game to people like Gateshead, Rochdale, Oldham, Eastleigh, who we've got coming up in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I thought Gateshead were actually really good. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Their centre forward was really dynamic, really running. And actually, in contrast, I've got to say, I don't want to be overly critical, and I think he's still getting fit, but Bon, he just didn't look up to it. He looked slow. And it was such a marked contrast compared to what Cardwell offered, Cardwell was like, I've said it before, he's like the non-league sort of Harry Kane. Like, he can basically do everything. He can be the hold-up play. He can pass the ball. He can run in behind. He can harry defenders. He's good in the air. Like, he was, an all-rounder, really talented. And Bon was playing more of, physically, he's a big guy, isn't he? And they're trying to kind of make the ball stick, but it wasn't, and he just wasn't getting to it, where the pass was not quite on point. He was struggling to get there. Look, last season, there were some fantastic performances and the team did very, very well. But I think that kind of rose-tinted spectacles masks. There were times when we went and we were like, God, this is turgid. Like, they couldn't string a pass together.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the norm now. Yeah. And against Gateshead, the possession just wasn't there. It just didn't feel right. And Gateshead just knew how to play. Let's be honest, though. I mean, they've got some good players. Jacob Butterfield scored for them. I mean, he was playing for my team, Derby, about 5 years ago or so.
He was, wasn't he?
Top end of the championship.
Was he in the playoff final and all, wasn't he?
I don't know if he played in that game, but he was in that squad. That got them there under Lampard. Good player, scored. You could sort of see he was a cut above. He was sauntering around. He didn't look fit. He came off quite early, but good player. It's not. There's no easy games, but if Southend want to be competing, we're certainly getting out of what
we
now.
Just got to be doing the basics right. You're right, and I mean, it's just everything just seems a bit disjointed, doesn't it? I mean, we know what they're capable of. That half, was it against Eastleigh, and they were amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. So you get glimpses of the quality that we have, and we know we can play. We do indeed.
And you went to the Maidenhead game Saturday just gone, Paul. How was that one?
Rubbish. Yeah, just nothing to shout about, really. I mean, their man Nathan Ferguson, who we know all about, was with us back in 2020, I think, 2021, 22. So we know what he's all about, and he just. He was the main man for the assist there for Loco to get his brace. Sam Barrett came on as well, and I like Sam. I thought he was going to do well for us, but he had that horrific injury. But we know what they're all about, and we should have been prepared for it, and we weren't. And it was awful for all of the huff and puff that you want to do. We just weren't at it, and I think that one hurts more than the Gateshead one, to be honest, because they're down there, Maidenhead. I mean, they were doing all right. Do you know what I mean? They've had a couple of results, but nothing to shout about. They've won. Not many, and we could have had them. But disappointing. Really disappointing.
Disappointing. Look, we're on a little bit of a break now, aren't we? We're on a bit of a sort of international break. The next game's in the Cup. Some of the new players certainly do need that time for fitness. There are still quite a few injuries as well. Let's not, we're not going to judge this team after, however many games they've played. But the trend needs to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's it.
That's it. And they've got to get back on, get back to basics. Just doing
competing.
Yeah, and that's it.
It's so simple, isn't it? They do it's such a cliche, but you've got to do. You've got to fight for the ball, and you've got to work as a team, and all that really basic stuff, and then the rest of it should follow. So, let's not dwell too much, Paul. We've got you. I mean, you're hungover as well, so I've never seen you quite so down. Southend are on a downward curve, and you're hungover, so it's kind of the most depressed I've ever seen you. Generally, you're the perkiest chap I know. So let's try and get back to some of that perkiness.
Go for it,
because. In a moment, we are going to take a little bit of a break, but let's just intro your interview that you've just done. There's a really special match coming up, right?
Yes.
A load of Blues legends getting together in honour of another Southend United legend. Paul, tell us about this.
Well, you may have seen me at the Rattling Buckets with the Suepa boys and girls.
I literally did see you. I saw you.
Thank you for your kind donation, dear boy.
Yeah, I put some money in the pot.
You did indeed. And we were all there raising funds, selling tickets for a benefit match at Bales and Pitsea for ex-Blues legend Micky Stead, who unfortunately has fallen on a bit of a bad run of luck. He can't work. He's had problems with his legs. But I won't go too much into what's going on, because I did sit down with Andy Leeder, who had a good chat with him about the match coming up. And there's some absolute Blues legends coming together alongside potentially a former Spurs legend as well.
Oh, is that a tease? Is that as far as you can go?
Yeah, I can't say no more because I don't want to, I'll let Andy talk all about it. But so let's have a little break and then we will hear from Andy. Well, hello and welcome back to Shrimperscast, Mr. Andy Leeder. How are we doing, Andy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, Paul. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good to have you back on, sir. How have things been?
Busy and lots going on. Certainly, the last couple of matches have been quite encouraging from a Suepa perspective, with the former players visiting, and everything's just is full on. We've been quite encouraged, I suppose, by Kosu's approach to Suepa, wanting to understand what we're all about, wanting to get involved, and that's just lovely because we've never really had that before, to be honest. And people like Justin and John Watson and the others actually wanting to meet the guys that we're bringing along to these matches, shake their hands, and then know all about them as well. Certainly, Justin's done his research; he knows all about Billy Best, and it's been good. It's been lovely, and we've had three guests so far this season, all. For the eagle-eyed or statos amongst you, might have noticed that they've all got a strong Northampton Town connection. So we started off with Stevie Phillips, who is never a shy character and loved walking across the pitch to the West Stand, got a great reception, and then walked around the rest of the ground, milking it for all it's worth, as he loves. And he thoroughly enjoyed his day, and he ended up on the lash with all of the Kosu guys as well. So. I don't think he paid a bean all day, so he was quite happy.
Brilliant.
Then we had Billy Best, which was quite emotional, got a fantastic reception from the whole crowd, and Billy was quite choked about it all, really, and that was lovely. And of course, last Saturday we've had Ian Benjamin, who got welcomed with his own song. I don't think we've ever had that before, with about the berry net. So he loved that and was thoroughly overawed, I think, by the whole day. So all good.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, Billy Best, he was a goal-scoring machine, wasn't he? I mean, to our younger viewers who may only think of Freddie Eastwood, I mean, what was Billy like as a player?
He was special. He was just had a knack for being in the right place at the right time. He fed off of people like Bill Garner and Gary Moore, and just hung in there. He knew where to be, could swivel and hit the ball in, and he was a solid hat-trick scorer. Once he scored, he never stopped. He scored, I think, 9 hat-tricks during his time, several braces. He's the second all-time top scorer for Southend, 123 goals from 246 starts. So quite prolific. Wow. And he just was enthusiastic. He always gave it his all, and a good team player. So, those that saw him, which was me included, towards the end of his time, saw his last 2 home games. We played at Easter in 1973. We had 2 home games in successive days, which was quite unusual. One 5-0, the other one 5-1. Billy Best scored a brace in both games, and he was just fantastic. And the other guys were mentioned. Stevie Phillips, 8th all-time top scorer. Ian Benjamin got 33 goals for Southend. They're all top goal men. We don't just have striker guests, of course, but that's the way it's run so far this season. But I mean,
definitely, it's great to see.
It's not just the guests. We've got lots happening. We have a former players club meeting now, which is up and running, and the next one of that is on 13th of December. They've been quite encouraging. We've had a reunion of some youth team players from 1964. There's this picture of 14 of them all in the lineup, and we managed to reunite 8 of them, which was lovely. One missing was a guy called Paul Valentine, and he lives in Tasmania in Australia. Now, he was over on Saturday for a visit to the UK, so we got him in as a guest as well, and met him up with 4 or 5 of his old teammates who he hadn't seen in a long, long while. So that was lovely. So lots of things happening. We got one big event coming up is on the 23rd of November, Mr. Roy McDonough. So for those of you that were around in the 1980s watching Roy getting sent off, then you might be quite enjoy that one. So we have Roy's going to be the guest on 23rd of November at the game against Forest Green, and then we're going to have an evening session with him answering questions from the audience and lots of his former teammates there as well. And anyone who's read Roy's book will know that he's got a good story to tell. So there's that.
Most
and
definitely, yeah.
One other thing that we are about to launch is something called the Super Fund. So hitherto, all the money that Super's ever raised, which Super is part of the Shrimpers Trust, and the money goes to the sort of the Shrimpers Trust pot to be used to various good causes to help the club and various people, etc. Going forward, we're going to focus that on Super-related projects, and in particular history and heritage. And Justin and the consortium are very keen on this. They've already started with taking some recognition of the history through murals in the Legends Lounge, and indeed we've had our first ever sponsor for JLS Building Services, who have paid money to be associated with Super for the current season, and the money that they paid were used to help fund those murals, and part of it going into the Super Fund as well. So that's all been quite exciting too.
Wow. So, yeah, you've been a bit busy, mate. Been a bit of a busy boy.
Yes, yeah. And I think, the busiest thing is all to do with, perhaps the reason I'm on today, which is for our match for Micky. So
Yes.
this is on the Sunday, the 20th of October, kick-off 3:30 p.m. at Bowers and Pitts's ground. And those of you that came along to our benefit match last year for James Walker will know that Bowers and Pitsy did us proud that day, and a great little ground to be at, and that was a wonderful occasion, and we hope to do something similar for Micky. So Micky himself, for those of your viewers that are not aware, Micky played for us from 1978 to 85, and he hardly missed a game in that period. Nearly 350 appearances as fullback, scored 5 goals, and if you ask Micky, they're all complete pile driver humdingers. In reality, there's no video evidence of that at all, so we'll just have his word for it, I think. No one can really remember that. But Micky, we got him from Spurs. He started off there as a youth team player, and was in the team that won the youth cup, along with the likes of one or two good name players there. And but Dave Smith brought him to the Roots Hall, and he never looked back. Had a great career with us, a couple of promotions, as with any Southend player over a reasonable period of time, a couple of relegations as well. But he was, our player of the year in a season of turmoil. He as I said, he went through the Smithy era and then through part of Bobby Moore's time with Southend, and was just a fantastic professional. And then Dave Cusack enticed him up to the wonderful place called Doncaster Rovers in 1985. So he ended his career there and played a bit of non-league soccer, but made his living after hanging up his boots as a cabbie in London,
Right.
from his Harlow base. There's one or two Southend players that have done that, actually. And we got to meet Micky in a couple of times over the last 3 or 4 years. Had him to one of our evening with events, had him as a guest at Roots Hall, and fantastic character, very bubbly, lovely. Really appreciative of all the reunion stuff. Thoroughly enjoyed his time. And then, it was back in late April. All of a sudden, I got a call from Micky's mobile, but it wasn't Micky. It was his wife, Tracy, and she was, saying that, well, didn't quite know who to tell, but Micky had some serious health problems, and basically, he, as he's part of his thing for get his cabbie license, is he has to do a medical every so often, and had just come through a rather strenuous medical and passed it. Got out to the steps of the hospital, collapsed, and it was found that he's rushed to the hospital. Tracy had to rush him there, and they found a blood clot on his leg, and it was touch and go. He was in and out of intensive care, so whether he was going to survive. But he pulled through very gradually, but was very slow in his recovery, and then found that he needed a bowel operation as well. And this was all on top of having cancer problems a couple of years before that as well. So Micky ended up being in hospital for 3 months. Following Tracy's call, we thought, well, what on earth can we do? So we put out a note on social media and on Shrimperzone, and we got in, well over 100 messages of goodwill, which was sent to Micky. And some were ex-Spurs players, some are ex-Southend teammates, and lots of fans. And these messages, I think, helped Micky a lot. He didn't, I suppose, know how much he was appreciated in his time as a shrimper. And we got a few of those players also called him up as well. I mean, Micky, once you're sitting in a hospital bed recovering, there's not too much you can do, and he thoroughly enjoyed getting calls from people that he hadn't heard of in decades. So that was nice. And then when he got out of hospital, it was obviously it's going to be a slow recovery, and he's got to learn to walk again, essentially. And perhaps becoming a cabbie again to earn a living, which was needed. He did get some help from the Professional Footballers Association in paying the rent for a period whilst he was in hospital. But he's not going to be able to work again for quite some time. Now, one of the former players who I've already mentioned, Stevie Phillips, we're in touch with. He said, he's seen the pictures of Micky's leg, and not very nice. And what can we do to give some proper help to Micky? So, when we did the benefit match for James Walker last year, I did kind of think never again, because it was a fantastic day, but it was a huge thing to organise. However, we did learn quite a bit from it. So foolishly, we thought, oh, well, let's do another one. So that's what we're having on the 20th of October, a match for Micky. These things there's about a 50-point action list you have to do to go through on sorting these things out. Everything from fairly simple things like stewards, and you somebody who can provide stewards, so we can do that. Ball boys and things like that. Really dull stuff like having event insurance, and then you get into the meat of the thing. Well, the venue. Well, that was fairly straightforward, given that we knew what a great hosts Bowers were last year. But then sponsors and players. They're the two biggies, I suppose, along with getting the kit and the match program. So sponsors has been lovely and actually quite a rewarding experience, really. COSU have got involved. There's two of the COSU members are sponsoring the match, and 2 are going to be playing in it. So 4 COSU members out of the 10 actively involved, which you wouldn't have got that before,
Brilliant.
would you?
No chance.
No, no. So that's lovely, and also a couple of ex-players are being sponsors as well. There's one guy, Phil Dudley, who played with Mickey during his time at Roots Hall. He can't be there, but he's sponsoring through his kitchen top company. Others are, and we've generally the sponsorship side of things has gone really well. It's been lovely to have various local businesses get involved, and then the players. That's getting players to these matches. That's always a bit of a challenge, but we've got a squad of 20 at the moment, and if you want me to. Shall I read off a couple of the names, Paul? Yeah.
Please do. I've seen. Well, I saw a few that were confirmed, and I'm no doubt I've missed a couple. But
Yeah.
you pulled in some big names there. Some big blue superstars seem to be coming along.
Yeah, well, it's quite an unusual and eclectic mix, I suppose. What's been nice is that we've got 5 players who played with Mickey back in the 70s and 80s who are actually playing.
Brilliant.
So we've got 72-year-old Barry Silkman, who still does a bit of playing vets football. Gary Nelson, who's first started as a shrimper in '79, he'll be playing. He plays for England Vets as Gary. John Keeley, the goalkeeper. Adrian Owers. Jeff Hull. So nice to have that connection, and then you get into players that more recent ones like Mark Phillips, Adam Barrett, Steve Tilson, Simon Royce, who helped us out last year, Phil Gridley, got the 3 amigos themselves. They'll all be coming along, hopefully buoyed by a win at Rochdale the previous day. Scotty Forbes, Liam Constantine, Gary Jones, who's coming all the way down from Nottingham, and he plays Vets football 3 times a week, so he's looking forward to that. Lee Bernard, who scored a hat-trick in our match for James last year, and he's helping us out again. So a good collection of fat players, and there's a couple more names that I hope to add to that too, just to sort of, none of them really, I suppose, want to play the full game, so we're going to be mixing and matching it around. They're all going to be playing in a replica of the 1980-81 kit. We've got that sorted. I took delivery of that picked that up at Bournemouth Airport last Thursday, of all places. We've got the match programme now sorted, and other players, there's going to be some that will be coming along who won't be playing, but they're going to be there with Mickey in the crowd supporting him. People like David Crown, Jim Stannard, Paul Clark, Steve Hatter. Lots and lots of names there. So, and adding to that is the real interesting one, because I mentioned that Mickey started off his career at Spurs. So
yes,
I've been in contact with Paul Miller, who played for Spurs, and as he says, he played for Spurs the last time they won anything. He has helped me get in touch with a few others. So Glenn Hoddle, we actually hope, subject to no other TV commitments cropping up, will be along. People like Tony Galvin and a couple of people who played for both Spurs and Southend. So Martin Robinson and Peter Spud Taylor as well. So a big collection. It's perhaps the largest ex-player gathering we've ever had. So looking forward to that.
Brilliant.
So a graph hunter's dream, Paul.
That's great stuff. Did I hear a rumour that Duncan Jupp was going to make an appearance as well?
Yeah, sorry, he's another name I've missed off. So Duncan hopes to be there. The other fullback I haven't mentioned, Johnny Hurd. Johnny Hurd will be practicing his long throws, ready for that game.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I was hoping we almost got Peter Clark But Peter's injured himself. He's still playing at the age of 40-something for Warrington up north. And, of course, it was Peter Clark that got on the end of that Johnny Hurd long throw to equalise at Chelsea. And that would have been quite nice. But
Yes.
we'll have at least a thrower there. So, yeah, lots of players.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
We'll keep those. We won't let any of them go cold. We're going to have a keepy uppy competition. So we're going to run that so that any ex-player can take part, and as many consecutive keepy uppies in 30 seconds, and we'll have the top two go against each other at half time to see who's the winner. We had to put a time limit on it. I asked one Spurs player about this, who shall remain nameless, and he said you'll need 3 days to for my consecutive keepy up. So,
Yeah.
we put in 30
Oh, it sounds
seconds.
brilliant. I mean, what a turnout. It's going to be great. But if anyone wants to go to the game, can they pay on the day, or where can we get tickets for it?
Right. So there's you can get tickets online from the Shrimpers Trust website. So just type Shrimpers Trust into your web browser. Look for the Super tab on that, and you'll get into the Match for Mickey place there, where you can buy tickets. Or if you just want to donate and can't come along, you can do that there, nice and easy. Clicks and away you go. Now, we would like people to buy online, if possible, in advance, because that just helps us gauge how many people are going to come along. And it helps us tell Bowers and Pitsy, our hosts, how many people they'll need for the bar staff and catering as well. So that's good. But people can pay on the day as well. So, and we will have... we're going modern as well. We will have tap and pay through credit card facility on the gate as well as cash. So
Great stuff. Well, we'll share the link as well on our socials. So if you can't find it on the Shrimpers Trust, or we'll have it on our thing for you. Because I was standing rattling buckets for you at the on the day, and a lot of people were coming up. And we had the QR code, didn't we? You gave out as well. So
Yep.
and people were like, "Oh, I don't carry cash anymore." And I was like, "Well, we have a QR code now. You can scan as well." Is that QR code still valid? Does it still work?
Yes, yeah. Well, the QR code is is still valid, and it's on the website as well. But that's one
Brilliant.
thing I suppose we have learned from this, in that cash is very much the minor way of paying for things now, and we need to wise up to that for future such events, to make it as easy as possible for people to pay or donate. And your help, Paul, and the other little merry band that we had on that day Billy Best visited. So we was running 2 things at once. We had the people in the pubs and in and around the ground, and that was good. A lot of interest in the game, and we sincerely hope as many people come along as possible, because we've got sponsorship which covers the costs and more now. So every single penny that gets donated or goes in as ticket income will go to Mickey. There's no Shrimpers Trust costs on this at all. Everyone's doing it as a voluntary basis. So Mickey will benefit 100% from everything. And he's a player that, I suppose, typical of his generation. Never earned huge amounts from the game, and is now in a sticky situation. He wasn't at Southend quite long enough to ever earn a testimonial season. So he needs our help, and that's what we're doing.
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic stuff. How is Mickey now, health-wise? I mean, is he on the mend? I know it took him a long time to walk, but how things are looking for him?
Yeah, well, I went along to see him about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he's okay. He can't walk without the support of a stick. And he needs leaning on stuff, and he's okay around the house, and he'll manage to walk a short distance on the day itself, on the 20th of October. But it's a slow burn for him to learn to walk again and to be strong enough. Because one thing, typical Micky fashion, he said, when I was in hospital, I nearly lost 5 stone, and I could have done with losing a few pounds, but not quite that many. So a lot of strength went, and he needs to recover. And this match itself will help as well. I think it's not just the financial thing; it's actually the showing of the Southend public, their appreciation and love for a former player, and just to make it a really nice day for him. That's what happened in our match for James last year. And if we can replicate some of that, then everyone will be very happy.
Yeah, 100%. That sounds brilliant. Well, everyone, go and get your tickets. Get them online, scan that QR code, and get down to Bowes and Pitsea, because it's going to be a great event. Absolutely superb event. But, Andy, I'm going to love you and leave you up. Thank you very much for coming on today. It's good to see you again. And hopefully we'll catch up soon, maybe towards the end of the season.
Pleasure. And we'll see you at Match for Micky.
Big thanks there to Andy Leeder for joining us and giving us all that info. Paul, you've got his credentials there you want to plug, right?
Yep. So you can get them at shrimperstrust.co.uk and get your tickets there, or they are on Facebook and on X at Suepa SSOC. That's SUEPA SSOC. So give them a follow and get down to the game.
Nice one. Thanks, Andy.
Cheers, Andy.
Now it's time for everyone's favourite jingle of the show.
Paul's previews.
Paul, a bit of an unusual one. We're not always talking about the National League because Southend are competing in other competitions, or trying to qualify to compete in other competitions. This is an FA Cup qualification match this weekend.
Indeed. Yep. And our record in the FA Cup is absolutely dire. Total flannel. I think we've made this second round twice in 10 years. And this is the fourth qualifying round. So we win this, and then we're in the hat for the first round proper.
Nice.
Exciting. It could be done. But like I said, our record, mate, is... Yeah.
They don't prioritise the cup. For good reason, let's be honest,
Yeah, but everyone loves a cup run, don't
everyone
we?
Does.
Do you know
everyone
what I mean?
Does.
We've had good cup runs, like in the Johnston Paint Trophy, LDV vans and all the rest of it. We've been to Wembley. We know what cup runs are about, back in the day. Great fun to have. And we need to lighten the mood, don't we?
We do.
We need a bit of good news. So let's go to Eastleigh and give them a good game. Turn them over, because our record there's not bad, at Eastleigh. It's not bad at all. We've played them 7 times. We've won 4, drawn the 1, lost the 1. Last time we were there, we beat them in the Jack Bridge Penno. We can beat them there. We know what they're all about.
And we just beat them in the league as well, right?
Yeah. So, I thought we'd play some of our best football this season against them. So, we can do it.
Fingers crossed. They can rekindle that form after a couple of...
Well, we've got to do something. Our form,
yeah.
mate, it's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish, isn't it, at the minute? In our last 5, 1-1, drawn 1, lost 3. We can score. We've scored 7. But we're just leaking goals from everywhere. Set pieces, the lot. And we conceded 10. On the road, we've won 1, drawn 2, lost 2. We scored 8, conceded 8. So we've got to be at our best. We got hope. Whatever they're working on this week on the training ground, it's going to click. And, let's be positive. We've got to go there. FA Cup, we all have a cup run. And because I think they're for the taking, Eastleigh. So in the league, in the last 5, they've only won 1, drawn 2, lost 2. They've scored 8 and conceded 10. And at home, they are quite tight.
Right.
1-2, drawn 2, lost 1, scored 9, but conceded 8.
Okay.
They're a bit leaky.
Yeah.
But they've got some players, mate.
Yeah.
They've got some players.
Go on then.
Right, so they've got Scott Quigley, the bit of a globe-trotting... globe-trotting? No, he ain't. He's country-trotting goal scorer. I mean, he hit 11 last season. I think he's just coming back from injury because he's missed quite a few games. He's only got 1 in 7. They've got Jake Taylor, the Exeter City legend, solid midfielder. But their main man is Paul McCallum, the former Pompey, Orient, Dagenham, Chesterfield, Barnet man. He's been prolific for Eastleigh. He was there in 2018-19. He hit 27 goals that season. Then he went on a bit of a tour. And he's come back. He hit 31 goals in 38 games last season. He's already hit 7 in 12.
Wow.
So
that's almost Gus Scott Morris type numbers.
Indeed.
Nearly.
But, he's going to be the man. We keep him quiet. I think we're in with a shout, you know.
Nice.
And yeah, well, we all have a cup game, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we go there and we'll be in the first round proper, and we can look forward to going Yeovil away.
Yeah, classic.
Or Plymouth, or is it
Somewhere
Plymouth
terrible.
Parkway or something? Yeah, somewhere really far away. Truro City away. Yeah, why not?
Good stuff, good stuff. Well, thank you everyone for listening today. And we don't want to be bringing you more depressing podcasts. We want these podcasts to be fun, don't we, Paul? We want them to be happy and jovial affairs.
Yeah.
So come on, Southend, sort it out on the pitch.
I'll tell you what we could do. Why don't we get the listeners to pick our next guest? Because we've got a few lined up. We've got Andy's helping us out. We've got a few good ones. Who do you want to see on the podcast? I mean, we had a great one with the COSU members. Who do you want to hear? John Steele? Do you want to hear about the groundsman? Who do you want? Ex-players? Let us know and we'll go and hunt them down for you.
Yeah, send your ideas in on our socials. You know where we are. We're Shrimperscast on everything. So, yeah, all that's left to say is big thanks to everyone listening. Big thanks to you, Paul.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks to... Sorry, I've interrupted your catchphrase. Big thanks to Andy Leeder for joining us as well.
Cheers, Andy.
And, all that's left to say is, please, fingers crossed, come on Southend, get us a win on Saturday and up the Blues.
Up the Blues.